Hey guys, and welcome back to another gaming broadcast. Today, we're going to be escaping Midgar as fast as possible in Final Fantasy VII on the original PlayStation, whilst breaking down every major strategy, optimization, boss fight, and time-saving technique used throughout this route. If you enjoy this kind of in-depth Final Fantasy content and you'd like to see more guides like this, I'd appreciate it if you could hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments. It really helps the channel grow, and if you know someone who loves Final Fantasy VII or has ever wanted to learn speedrunning, be sure to share this video with them as well. Now, the timer begins the moment that we start a new game, so from the very first button press, every second counts. Even the opening cinematic is included as part of the run, meaning the clock is already ticking before we've even taken control of Cloud. Over the course of the guide, we'll break down the complete route from a brand new save file all the way to escaping Midgar and reaching the world map. Every movement, every optimization, menu decision, boss strategy, encounter, and resource management choice will be explained in detail. Not just what we're doing, but why we're doing it. Many of the optimizations you'll see only save a second or two on their own. A faster menu, a cleaner movement line, or a different battle strategy may seem insignificant in isolation, but in speedrunning, it's all about stacking hundreds of tiny time saves together, and by the end of Midgar, those small improvements add up to a dramatically faster run. Throughout this guide, I'll explain each section as it happens, covering the mechanics behind every major decision and highlighting where the biggest opportunities to save or lose time exist. Whether you're looking to learn the route yourself, or you're simply curious about how one of gaming's most iconic RPGs have been optimized over the years, this guide is designed to take you through the entire journey step by step. This route builds upon years of discoveries and refinement in the Final Fantasy speedrunning community. If you'd like to dive deeper, you'll find links to helpful guides and community resources in the description below. With that said, the countdown has already begun. Let's escape Midgar as fast as possible. As Cloud jumps off of the train, we gain control for the first time. The first thing we need to do is adjust the game's configuration settings. In a normal playthrough, these settings are mostly personal preference. However, in a speedrun environment, every option is chosen with efficiency in mind. Reducing small delays and making menus faster to navigate can save valuable time throughout the entire run. The first change we make is switching the cursor setting to memory. This tells the game to remember our last menu position instead of resetting the cursor every time we enter a menu. This may seem like a small quality of life feature, but during a speedrun where the same menu actions are performed repeatedly, reducing unnecessary cursor movement saves time and makes inputs more consistent. Next, we change the battle settings. The ATB is set to active, meaning the battle timer continues to fill while we're navigating menus. This keeps battles moving as quickly as possible and prevents the run from losing time while decisions are being made. Battle speed is also increased, reducing the amount of time waiting for animations and combat actions to complete. Similarly, both battle messages and field messages are changed to fast, removing unnecessary text delays throughout the game. Finally, we set the camera angle to fixed. Having a stable camera removes unnecessary variation. These changes are some of the first optimizations made in the route individually. Each setting only saves a small amount of time, but speedrunning Final Fantasy VII is built around combining hundreds of small improvements together. By the time we reach the end of Midgar, these early adjustments have helped make the entire run smoother and more consistent. With our settings adjusted, we can now begin the first section of the route. First thing we need to do is collect 2 potions from the defeated guards lying on the ground. These items are picked up because the resources are limited early in the run, and having an extra healing available gives us more consistency throughout the upcoming sections. After collecting the potions, we move into the next screen. Instead of running immediately, we walk towards Biggs. This may seem slower, but there is an important reason behind it. In Final Fantasy VII, movement speeds can affect how the game handles random encounters. Running in certain areas increases the chance of triggering a battle, and unnecessary encounters here would cost valuable time. By walking through this section, we avoid creating an unwanted battle before entering the Reactor. This is a great example of how speedrunning isn't always about moving as fast as possible. Sometimes the fastest strategy is actually slowing down briefly to maintain control and avoid losing more time later. Once we reach Biggs, we continue forwards and are prompted to name our character. For consistency and faster menu navigation, Cloud is renamed simply to C. Shortening the character's name is another small optimization used throughout the route. While it only saves a few seconds during text boxes, speedruns are built around removing small delays wherever possible. A shorter name means faster text progression and slightly quicker menus throughout the game. With our initial items collected, settings optimized, and character renamed, the route is now ready to move in the first major section of the game, the Mako Reactor mission. After naming Cloud, we continue through the opening section of the reactor. We take the elevator down and prepare for the first encounter of the run. As we exit the elevator and begin descending the first set of stairs, we trigger a random battle near the pillar. This encounter is expected, and if the previous movement was performed correctly, it will be the same group of enemies every time. This is an important concept in Final Fantasy VII speedrunning. While random encounters may appear unpredictable, the game's encounter system can often be influenced by your movements and the steps you take. By walking to Biggs earlier instead of running and avoiding the unwanted encounter when entering the reactor, we put ourselves on the correct path for this planned battle. After running away from the encounter, we continue deeper into the reactor. We pass through the doors and cross the gap and speak with Jesse before heading down the ladder. At the bottom, we pick up another potion before continuing down. Shortly after collecting the item, another encounter occurs. From here, we just run away and walk towards the ladder and continue descending down into the reactor. Once we reach the lower section, we will walk Cloud until he moves off of the screen, then take an extra few steps before continuing. This may look like a strange thing to do here, but these additional steps are intentional. They are used as a small piece of encounter manipulation to improve our chances of avoiding a random battle before the first boss. A few extra steps might seem slower, but avoiding an entire encounter saves much more time than the small amount of movement that we did there. This is one of the core ideas behind speedrunning in Final Fantasy VII. Sometimes the fastest route is about controlling the game, not simply moving as quickly as possible. With the route set up correctly, we can now approach the first major challenge of the run, the Guard Scorpion. This battle is the first real test of the strategy we've been building up to this point. While Guard Scorpion may be the first boss in Final Fantasy VII, the speedrun approach is not simply about attacking as quickly as possible, it's about controlling the battle, managing ATB efficiently, and using the boss's own mechanics to create the fastest possible outcome. At the start of the fight, we get a good ATB opening with Cloud ready to attack first. We immediately use Bolt, taking advantage of Guard Scorpion's weakness to lightning magic. To make this as efficient as possible, we hold down and X to select Bolt. Once the spell is selected, we release the down button but continue holding X. This allows us to move through the battle commands quickly and set up our inputs so we can repeat the same actions with as little delay as possible. From here, we continue attacking, waiting for the important moment in the fight, Guard Scorpion raising its tail. Once the tail is raised, we move into the next part of the strategy. Instead of waiting for the boss to lower its tail, we use Cloud's first limit break, Braver. This attack deals a large amount of damage and also causes Guard Scorpion to respond with a powerful tail laser attack. In a normal playthrough, tail laser is an attack you would usually want to avoid. However, in this route, the attack is used to our advantage. The damage from the tail laser fills up Barrett's limit gauge, giving him access to his first limit break, Big Shot. After the tail lowers, we use Barrett's Big Shot, limit break, and combine it with another bolt from Cloud to finish the fight. This battle demonstrates one of the key ideas behind Final Fantasy VII speedrunning. The fastest strategy isn't always about avoiding the enemy's strongest attacks. Instead, it's about understanding the game's mechanics and turning those moments into opportunities that save time. With Guard Scorpion defeated, the first major battle of the run is complete, and the escape from the reactor can now continue. With Guard Scorpion defeated, its first major battle of the route is complete. After the fight, we receive Barrett's new weapon, the Assault Gun. However, there is no time to stop and prepare. The reactor escape sequence begins, giving us 10-minute countdown. Get out before the explosion. From this point onwards, the priority is simple. Move as quickly as possible while avoiding anything that slows us down. We run through the reactor and escape every battle encounter that we can, because even a single unnecessary fight during this section wastes valuable time and puts more pressure on the countdown. This is one of the first sections where the importance of clean movement becomes obvious. There are no complicated boss mechanics to manage here. The challenge is maintaining speed, following the correct path, and avoiding anything that interrupts our progress. As we make our way back up, we reach Jessie, who is unable to move because her leg is trapped. We stop briefly to help her, freeing her before continuing up the elevator. This video was streamed on Twitch, so there will be Twitch alerts in the video, so please watch out for them. And if you haven't already, please go and follow Another Gaming Broadcast on Twitch. I really appreciate it. After reaching the elevator, we ride it back up and continue the escape route. Once we reach the upper section, we speak to Jessie first before moving on to Biggs. These conversations are required to progress the story, so the goal is to complete them as quickly as possible and continue moving. Every second still matters while the countdown continues. After regrouping with the team and make our final push out of the reactor, with the timer running down behind us, we just escape before it's destroyed. The first mission is complete, and the run moves into the next major section, escaping Sector 1 and making our way through Midgar. After regrouping with the team, we make our final push to escape the reactor. The last obstacle is the escape hatch, where we blow open the door and make our way up the stairs towards safety. If you listen closely to the ambient tracks in the reactors, you'll hear a rhythmic, heartbeat-like thumping. This was a deliberate choice by the composer Nobu Uematsu and the sound team to emphasize that the reactors are literally bleeding the planet's lifeblood, the life stream. Although this is an important story moment, the speedrun focuses on making the necessary choice as quickly as possible. When given the dialogue options here, we select option 1 to continue the sequence and move forward without wasting any extra time. After leaving Aerith, we continue through the next screen and collect the potion along the way. These early healing items are useful for consistency as resources are limited and every item collected has a purpose within the route. Continuing onward, we reach the next station, where we trigger a group of Shinra guards. At this point in the game, it gives us a choice either to fight them or run away. For a normal playthrough, fighting these encounters would be the expected choice. However, in this route, battles are avoided whenever possible because they provide no benefit and only add unnecessary time. And to escape Midgar quickly as possible, we select run away every single time. After successfully escaping the reactor, we board the train back to Sector 7. During this journey, Barrett and the rest of the Avalanche discuss what happened during the mission and the risk Cloud took by sacrificing himself to help the group escape. This gives us a moment to see more of the story and understand the relationship between Cloud and Avalanche. However, the speedrun does not allow much time to stop and reflect. Cloud quickly rejoins the group by jumping onto the train and entering through the carriage doors, allowing us to continue moving forwards. Fun fact, Midgar's circular design is famously referred to as a pizza by residents like Barrett. However, the original concept art actually drew inspiration from a massive multi-layered industrial furnace and a city that never sleeps. based in 1920s New York. As we progress through the train, we reach an important trick known as the Jessie Skip. Jessie Skip is an optional technique that allows us to bypass part of the normal train sequence and save time by manipulating Cloud's movement around Jessie. When performed correctly, it removes a small amount of unnecessary movement and makes the route more efficient. In this attempt, we are unable to perform the skip successfully, resulting in a small time loss. However, this is a good example of the execution aspect of speedrunning. Knowing a strategy and performing it consistently are two completely different challenges. If you are interested in learning how to perform the Jessie Skip yourself, a guide explaining the technique will be linked in the description below. Even though we lost a small amount of time here, the overall strategy remains the same: keep moving, minimize delays, and execute the route as cleanly as possible. If you would like to see me perform the Jessie Skip, please wait until the end of the video and you can see it then. With the excitement of the reactor escape behind us, the game shifts its focus back to the story. As the train makes its way towards Sector 7, Barrett explains the city of Midgar to Cloud. He compares the upper plate to a giant pizza suspended in the sky, while the train itself becomes a fitting metaphor. It can only travel where the tracks allow, just as the people living beneath the plate often feel that they have little control over the direction of their own lives. The following full motion video gives us a brief moment to appreciate Midgar's scale before arriving back in Sector 7. Fun fact, the Midgar section is so heavily optimized that speedrunners spend hours practicing sections that only save a few seconds. A moment adjustment that saves only a couple of seconds might seem meaningless, but over the entire run, those tiny improvements add up. This is why speedrunning often looks simple on the surface, but requires an incredible amount of precision. Once we step off the train, the speedrun quickly returns to movement optimization. As we enter the screen leading towards the 7th Heaven bar, Barrett and the rest of the Avalanche are waiting outside. Rather than continuing straight to them, we briefly move back to the previous screen before immediately returning. This may seem like an unnecessary detour, but it causes the other Avalanche members to disappear from outside of the bar. Remember, these character models clear our path and allows us to reach the entrance more efficiently, saving a small amount of time. And with that path now clear, we speak to Barrett before entering 7th Heaven. As we enter, we're introduced to Tifa for the first time, and when prompted, we choose option 1 before shortening her name simply to T, just as we did with Cloud earlier in the run. Using a single letter name reduces the amount of text displayed throughout the game, saving small amounts of time whenever her name appears in dialogue. Shortly afterwards, Barrett arrives, greeting his daughter Marlene before gathering the rest of the Avalanche and sending everyone down to the secret hideout beneath the bar. To reach the hideout, we use 7th Heaven's famous hidden entrance disguised as a pinball machine. It's one of the earliest examples of Final Fantasy VII, blending everyday locations with Avalanche's underground resistance against Shinra. Once downstairs, the conversation turns back to the events that happened in Mako Reactor number 1. Barrett is surprised that no members of Soldier were present during the mission, something that raises questions about Shinra's security and what may be happening behind the scenes. Cloud, however, has something more immediate on his mind: his payment. As a mercenary, he joined Avalanche for one reason: the job. Before moving on to the next mission, he wants to make sure he is paid for the work he's already completed. After the discussion, we return upstairs, where one of the game's more memorable character moments begins. Tifa reminds Cloud of the promise that they made as children. giving us our first real insight into their shared history and establishing one of the central relationships that develops throughout the story. Fun fact, on the original PlayStation, Final Fantasy VII spans over 3 discs. Interestingly, almost all of the game data exists on every disc. The main thing that changes between them is the full motion videos, which is why the game asks you to swap discs at specific story points. Following the conversation, Barrett pays Cloud 1500 gil for a successful bombing mission. With the payment received and preparations for the next operation underway, Cloud heads downstairs to get some rest before the following day's events. From a speedrunner perspective, this entire sequence is almost completely fixed between the required dialogue, character interactions, and cutscene. There are very few opportunities to save time, unlike the moment-heavy sections or boss encounters we've already covered. The following morning, we speak with Barry once again. During the conversation, the game attempts to introduce a materia tutorial. For the speedrun, we want to avoid this entirely, and to do this, we continuously press the confirm button while carefully watching Cloud's animation. As soon as his leg begins to move, we stop mashing and select option 2. Our first stop is the Sector 7 weapon shop. Rather than purchasing new equipment, we're here to prepare our inventory for the next major section of the run. We head upstairs and collect 2 important items, the All Materia and the Ether found in the treasure chest. Both are picked up because they have value to the route, either through their usefulness or by contributing towards the resources we'll need shortly. After collecting the items, we want to head back downstairs and visit the shop counter. Here, we sell almost everything in our inventory, keeping only Barrett's assault gun. At first glance, selling so many items might seem unusual, but Gil is a limited resource early in the game. Every sale is carefully planned to ensure that we have enough money for one of the route's most important purchases, 35 grenades. These grenades play a major role in the upcoming sections of the run, and unlike standard physical attacks, grenades deal reliable damage without relying on character strength, making them extremely effective. For several early battles and allowing us to defeat the enemies much more quickly than we otherwise could. As we exit the 7th heaven screen, we attempt one of the most significant tricks in Midgar, the guard skip. Despite its simple name, guard skip is far more than a small movement optimization. Successfully performing this trick completely changes the route that follows. By executing the skip correctly, we are able to bypass a huge portion of the game, including the entire second bombing mission, the Mako Reactor No. 5 boss battle, the events surrounding the church, and meeting Aerith, and several major story sequences that would normally have been completed. Instead, the game progresses as though these events have already taken place. When control is returned to us, Aerith is already in our party, and we are placed at the entrance to Wall Market, ready to continue the adventure from a much later point in the story. Our objective here is to rescue Tifa, who has infiltrated the mansion of a local crime boss, Don Conero. The only way inside is to convince the Don to choose Cloud as his guest for the evening, which means gathering the best possible disguise. Our first stop is the man standing outside the Honeybee Inn. Speaking to him points us towards Don Conero's mansion, where we learn that the only way to gain access is for Cloud to disguise himself as a woman. With our objective clear, we begin collecting the items needed to create the best possible disguise. The first stop is the clothing store, where we learn that the shop's owner's father is away at a local bar, meaning no dress can be made until he returns. Next up, we visit the materia store. The owner asks us to find out what is being sold at the inn, giving us another objective to complete while we're working through War Market. From there, we head to the restaurant. After ordering our meal, we choose option number 2, earning ourselves a pharmacy coupon. We immediately take the coupon to the pharmacy and exchange it for option number 3, the digestive. This item will become important later on. Our next destination is the inn. We stay the night, and after paying 200 gil, obtain a protein shake. Before continuing, we make a stop inside the bar, where another trick, also known as the bar skip, can be performed. This skip isn't used in this route, but if you're interested in learning it, I'll leave a guide linked in the description below. Instead, we continue through the intended route, enter the bar to speak to the clothing store owner's father. During our conversation, we choose option 2 both times. These dialogue choices encourage him to create the highest quality dress possible, increasing Cloud's chances of being selected by Don Corneo. Before leaving the bar, we make one final stop in the bathroom. We give the woman inside the digestive, and in return, she rewards us with a sexy cologne. Another item improving Cloud's disguise. With that complete, we head back to the materia store and give the owner the protein shake. As thanks, he rewards us with a diamond tiara, adding another piece to the outfit. Now, it's time to collect the dress itself. Returning to clothing store, we receive the dress crafted by the owner's father, bringing us one step closer to the complete disguise. The final item that we need is the wig. To earn it, we head over to the gym and compete against Big Bro in a squat competition. Winning the contest rewards us with a blonde wig, completing the final piece of Cloud's disguise. With every required item collected, we return to the changing room and equip the dress and the wig. Our disguise is now complete. With Cloud fully dressed and Aerith looking like a million gil, we make our way to Don Canero's mansion, where we are welcomed by the receptionist and begin the next major story sequence. With our disguise complete, we arrive at Don Canero's mansion. Our first objective is to find Tifa, who's waiting in one of the rooms downstairs. After speaking with her, we can collect the ether that's hidden in the room, before finishing the conversation, and making our way upstairs for Don Corneo's selection. This is the moment all of our preparation in War Market has been building towards. By collecting the best disguise items, the dress, the blonde wig, the sexy cologne, and diamond tiara, Don Corneo will always choose Cloud. This is an important optimization because it avoids two mandatory battles that otherwise would occur, if either Tifa or Aerith were selected. Each of those encounters contain 3 enemies, so guaranteeing Cloud is chosen saves a considerable amount of time whilst keeping the route consistent. Once Cloud is chosen, we speak with Don Corneo and select option 2 for both dialogue choices, and shortly afterwards Tifa and Aerith burst into the room and confront Don before revealing Shinra's true plan. Don explains that Shinra intends to destroy the Sector 7 plate, sacrificing everyone living in the Sector 7 slums in an attempt to eliminate Avalanche once and for all. Before leaving the room, we take a moment to collect the hyper hidden behind Don Corneo's bed. It's a quick pickup that will prove useful later in the run. And as we attempt to leave, Don Corneo pulls the lever, opening a trapdoor beneath our feet and sending the entire party crashing into the sewers below. The game then cuts away to the Shinra headquarters where President Shinra discusses a plan to drop the Sector 7 plate. During the meeting, Reeve openly disagrees with sacrificing the entire sector simply to deal with Avalanche. Despite his objections, President Shinra orders the operation to proceed regardless, setting one of the most memorable events in Final Fantasy VII into motion. Back into the sewers, after speaking with Tifa and Aerith, we move into the second boss fight of the route, Apps. This battle is all about maximizing damage every turn. Cloud's role is to cast Bolt whenever his ATP gauge fills, taking advantage of the boss's weakness to lightning magic. To speed up the menu navigation, we hold down and press X to reach Bolt as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, both Tifa and Aerith use grenades every single turn. Since grenades deal fixed damage, they provide a reliable, consistent damage output, making them significantly faster than relying on standard physical attacks at this stage of the game. For Tifa and Aerith, we want to hold up and X to reach the grenades immediately, reducing menuing time, and keeping the battle flowing as efficiently as possible. Once everyone's commands have been entered, we simply continue holding X to confirm the actions as quickly as the game allows, maintaining consistent pressure on the boss. As the fight reaches its conclusion, Cloud gains access to his Braver limit. We use it to deliver the finishing blow, ending the battle quickly and allowing us to continually escape through the sewers. The Abs fight is another excellent example of the route's philosophy. Every character has a defined role, and every menu input is planned in advance, and even the direction we hold the controller is chosen to shave small amounts of time off in the battle. On their own, these optimizations are tiny, but together they create a faster, more consistent speedrun. That's defeated, we can continue our journey through the sewers. Our first objective is to climb a ladder and make our way through the winding tunnels towards the exit. And along the way, we're forced into a random encounter. Since this battle provides no benefit to the route, we immediately choose to run away and continue moving forwards as quickly as possible. After escaping the encounter, we head up the nearby staircase and collect one of the most useful materia in the game, steel. Although we won't be using it immediately, steel becomes an important part of the route later on, and with the materia collected, we continue to the large opening on the floor. We walk there. This means that we can sprint through the entire area uninterrupted, saving far more time than if we had to stop and escape every single encounter. It's another great example of how route knowledge often outweighs raw speed. A small action performed now creates a much faster path only a few seconds later. Taking full advantage of the encounter-free section, we run through the tunnels, climb the final ladder and emerge in one of the most atmospheric locations in Midgar, the train graveyard. Our route begins by climbing onto the first train where we collect a high potion waiting on the roof. We climb down the opposite side and pass through the carriage below, picking up another potion before continuing. As we make our way through the graveyard, we're forced into a random encounter. Once again, there's no reason to fight, so we immediately run away and continue along the planned route. Next, we climb onto the second train. and descend the other side, and move through another carriage collecting yet another potion, before progressing to the next screen. Shortly afterwards, we're pulled into another unavoidable encounter. Just like before, we escape as quickly as possible and continue moving. Now we reach the train graveyard's environmental puzzle. Rather than simply finding a way around the abandoned trains, we use them to create our own route. We enter the driver's cab of the first train and move it into position, pushing another carriage out of the way. With the first train repositioned, we circle around to a second locomotive and repeat the process. Moving this train completes the path, creating a bridge across the train graveyard. This allows us to continue towards our destination. Although this puzzle is straightforward, clean movement is still important. Every unnecessary step adds up over the course of the run, so we navigate each carriage and interaction as efficiently as possible. With the path now open, we leave the train graveyard behind and return to Sector 7. Where the race to stop Shinra from dropping the Sector 7 plate reaches a dramatic conclusion. Aerith is already at the top of the support pillar, desperately trying to stop Shinra from destroying the Sector 7 plate. Below him, the rest of Avalanche are fighting to hold off the advancing Shinra forces. As we make our way towards the tower, tragedy strikes. Red loses his footing and falls from the upper levels to the pillar. After checking on him, we ask Aerith to stay behind, look after Wedge, and get Marlene to safety while Cloud and Tifa continue to climb. We begin ascending the support pillar, but partway up, we're forced into another random encounter. Since stopping to fight would only delay us further, we immediately run away and continue climbing up. After escaping the battle, we deliberately walk towards the next screen. Once Cloud disappears off screen, we continue walking until we're forced into another random encounter. This is intentional as it manipulates the encounter pattern before the final climb. After escaping this second encounter, we begin running towards the top of the pillar. But unfortunately, despite this setup, we're pulled into one final random encounter just before we're able to talk to Barrett. It's an unlucky battle that will cost us a small amount of time, but once we've escaped, we finally make it to the summit. Before the group can make their next move, Reno arrives aboard the Shinra helicopter, confident that Avalanche has already lost. He activates the mechanism that will release the Sector 7 plate before making his escape, leaving Cloud and the others with one final obstacle standing in their way. The battle against Reno is all about speed and consistency. Rather than relying on standard attacks, our strategy is to use grenades as quickly as possible. To minimize menuing time, we hold up and press X to select the grenades and then release up while continuing to hold X. This allows us to cycle through the commands as efficiently as possible and maintain constant damage throughout the fight. The objective is straightforward: land 8 grenades. By following this strategy, Reno is defeated quickly and consistently, allowing us to progress without delay. Although Reno has been beaten, the real problem remains. The mechanism has already been activated, and with the Sector 7 plate moments from collapsing, the party can do nothing but watch as one of the most devastating moments in Final Fantasy VII unfolds. Sang, the leader of the Turks, arrives with Aerith held captive. He explains that only a Shinra executive has the authority to stop the emergency plate release, confirming that Avalanche have already run out of time. He then reveals why Aerith is so important to Shinra, when the Turks' mission has always been to locate and recover the last surviving ancient and deliver her to the president. Before the helicopter leaves, Aerith manages to reassure the group that Marlene is safe. It's a brief moment of relief before Sang silences her with a slap, highlighting just how ruthless the Shinra are. Even as she's taken away, Aerith's final concern isn't for herself, it's for Cloud, Tifa and Barrett, urging them to escape while they still can. The Sector 7 plate crashes into the slums below, reducing the entire community to rubble in a matter of moments. For Avalanche, the loss is devastating. Barrett is overwhelmed with anger and grief, believing that Biggs, Jesse and Wedge have all lost their lives trying to defend the pillar. Even worse, he fears that his daughter Marlene has been caught in the destruction. Tifa refuses to give up hope. She reminds Barrett that Aerith knew what was happening and may have managed to get Marlene to safety before Shinra carried out its plan. Those few words are enough to give Barrett a reason to keep going. Cloud, however, quietly walks away from the conversation. It's a subtle moment that reflects the weight of everything that's happened. The mission has failed, Sector 7 has been destroyed, and Aerith has been taken by Shinra. Once control is returned to us, our next objective is clear. We make our way across Midgar towards Aerith's house, hoping to find answers and discover where Shinra has taken her. With the stakes now higher than ever, the journey into the second half of Midgar begins. With the control returned to us, we make our way through the construction site towards Aerith's house, and along the way, we're forced into a single random encounter, which we immediately run away from before reaching our destination. Now begins another unskippable story section. Throughout the run, we'll be mashing the confirm button as quickly as possible to advance any dialogue in the game, whilst the game tells us more about Aerith's past. Elmira explains how she found Aerith as a young girl after the war and chose to raise her as her own daughter. She also reveals that Aerith is the last known Cetra, or Ancient, a race with a unique connection to the planet. Because of this, Shinra has spent years searching for her, believing that she could lead them to the legendary Promised Land. We also learn that the Turks have been watching Aerith for years, waiting for the right moment to bring her to the Shinra headquarters. With the truth finally revealed, the party realizes this is no longer just a rescue mission. If they're going to save Aerith and stop Shinra's plans, there's only one destination left, the Shinra headquarters. With the story sequence complete, control is finally returned to us again. Our first stop is the garden outside of Aerith's house, where we can collect both the ether and our cover materia before setting off once again. Next, we visit a nearby item shop to prepare for one of the longest dungeons in Midgar, the Shinra HQ. Here we sell almost everything we collected along the way, keeping only our grenades, the hyper, Barrett's assault gun which I forgot to equip, and a high potion. With our inventory organised, we purchased enough grenades to bring our total up to 59. This number isn't random. The grenade count has carefully been planned to provide enough damage for the upcoming boss fights, while still leaving us with approximately 600 gil. That remaining gil is important because after we escape Midgar, We'll need to purchase the Chocobo Lure materia, so careful money management prevents unnecessary farming later in the run. Leaving Aerith's house behind, we begin the journey back towards the Wall Market, and along the way, we're forced into a single random encounter against the infamous Hell House. Despite its reputation as one of Final Fantasy VII's strangest enemies, fighting it serves no purpose in the speedrun, so we immediately run away and continue onwards to our destination. Once we arrive at Wall Market, we'll make one final stop at a weapon shop to purchase batteries for 300 gil. This is exactly why we made sure to leave the previous shop with around 600 gil. Without enough money, we'll be unable to buy the batteries and progress through the next section of Midgar. With the batteries secured, our preparations are complete. We make our way to the enormous wall surrounding the Shinra headquarters, ready to begin the climb and infiltrate the heart of Shinra Electric Power Company. Standing at the base of Shinra headquarters, there's only one way in. As Barrett famously calls it, it's time to climb the golden shiny wire of hope. Our ascent begins by scaling the first cable before placing a battery into the nearby mechanism that powers a large propeller, creating a moving platform and lets us cross the first gap. After making it across, we insert our second battery, raising a barrier and opening up the path to the next section of the climb. Continuing upwards, we reach one of the most important jumps in the sequence. The swinging cable moves back and forth across the gap, and timing is everything. By jumping onto the cable at the exact right moment, we're able to catch it on the first swing and continue without waiting, saving a few valuable seconds. From there, we climb onto another platform and carefully cross another cable and begin the final ascent. This last climb is simply about speed. We scale the structure as quickly as possible, making no unnecessary movements before reaching the top. With the climb complete, we finally stand at the entrance to the Shinra HQ. The infiltration is about to begin. With the climb complete, we finally arrive at the entrance to Shinra headquarters, and the game now presents us with two different ways of infiltrating the building. The obvious choice is to charge straight through the entrance and take the elevator. The other alternative is far less glamorous, climbing all 59 floors of the emergency staircase. For a casual playthrough, most players choose the elevator. It feels quicker and there's less running involved, and it gets you to the action almost immediately. In a speedrun, however, consistency is far more important than appearances. The elevator route is heavily influenced by RNG. Every time the lift stops, there's a chance Shinra security will board, forcing additional battles. Sometimes you'll only have to fight once, while other runs can result in several interruptions before reaching the top. Not only do these encounters cost valuable time, but they also consume resources. Each fight is more efficiently dealt with using grenades, and wasting those grenades here means that fewer are available for the bosses still to come. The staircase, on the other hand, is completely predictable. Every run follows the exact same route, there are no random encounters to worry about, and along the way, we're rewarded with an elixir, an item that isn't available if you choose the elevator instead. While the climb may look slower, it's more the reliable option, and therefore is the preferred route for this speedrun. As we begin the long climb, Final Fantasy VII treats us to one of the most memorable comedy sequences. With every few flights of stairs, Barrett becomes increasingly exhausted, complaining about just how many floors there are left to climb. Tifa repeatedly encourages him to keep going, while Cloud remains his usual calm self, making Barrett's frustration even funnier. It's a surprisingly light-hearted moment that gives the characters a chance to interact naturally, and it's become one of the most iconic optional scenes in the entire game. Many players deliberately choose the stairs on casual playthroughs just to experience the dialogue. Eventually, after climbing all 59 floors, we finally reach the top. Unfortunately, Shinra security is waiting for us. The guards are little more than a final obstacle before we can enter the building, so we dispatch them as quickly as possible. The strategy is simple: use 2 grenades per guard. Fixed damage makes the fight both fast and consistent, allowing us to eliminate every enemy without relying on attack rolls or lengthy animations. With the guards defeated, we're rewarded with a keycard, finally granting us access to the upper floors of the Shinra headquarters. The hardest part of getting inside is over, and the infiltration begins. With the keycard in hand, we can finally enter the Shinra headquarters. Our first stop is the 60th floor, where one of the building's stealth sections waits.
Rather than fighting, the objective here is to sneak past the Shinra guards by carefully running between the stone pillars while their backs are turned. If we're spotted, the alarm is raised and we're forced into an additional battle, costing valuable time. Fortunately, everything goes according to plan, and we make it through the entire floor on our first attempt without being detected. With the guards safely behind us, we head up the stairs to the next level. On the 61st floor, we make our way over to the man standing by the elevator. Choosing option 2 during the conversation earns us a key card to the 62nd floor. Although we now have the access to the elevator, we don't use it yet. Climb the stairs to the next floor is slightly faster, so every small optimization counts. On the 62nd floor, we continue straight upstairs to visit one of the building's most memorable NPCs, Mayor Domino, on floor 63. Before we speak to him, there's one important piece of information we need to collect, which we check the middle green bookshelf in the top right office. The books found here determines the password for the playthrough, making the answer different from run to run. The possible passwords are 0 for Mako, 1 for King, 2 for Best, and 3 for Bomb. In this run, the bookshelf gives us the number 2, meaning the correct password is Best. This actually is the fastest outcome, since Best is the first dialogue option. We don't need to scroll through any menus and select it, saving a small amount of time compared to the other 3 possibilities. After correctly answering the mayor's password, we're rewarded with a keycard to floor 65 along with elemental materia, both of which are essential for continuing the route. From here, we finally return to the elevator. With access to the higher floors now unlocked, taking the elevator directly to floor 65 becomes the fastest option, allowing us to continue to infiltrate deeper into Shinra headquarters. Arriving on floor 65, we encounter one more unique objectives inside Shinra headquarters. Scattered around the floor are several treasure chests containing missing components for the large Midgar model displayed in the center of the room. The puzzle is straightforward. We open the chests to collect the model parts and place them into the correct sections in the display, gradually rebuilding the miniature city piece by piece. As more sections of the model are completed, additional chests become available, allowing us to collect the remaining parts until the display is fully restored. Once the final piece has been fitted into place, we're rewarded with a keycard for floor 66, allowing us to continue our climb through Shinra headquarters. Although the elevator is available, it's actually faster to take the stairs just up one floor. So we head straight up to the floor 66, keeping the route as efficient as possible. With another keycard secured, we're now one step closer to reaching the very top of Shinra HQ. So taking the stairs brings us up to floor 66, where another story-driven sequence begins. Our destination is the meeting room. In the top left corner of the floor, rather than entering directly, head into the adjoining toilets. Climb into the ventilation shaft above. From here, we secretly listening in to the meeting between Shinra executives. The discussion reveals the company's next moves following the destruction of Sector 7, while also introducing several of Shinra's highest ranking members and their differing opinions. It's a brief but important scene that gives us a better understanding of the people we're up against and the scale of Shinra's plans. Once the meeting concludes, we climb back out of the ventilation shaft and continue deeper into the building. Our attention quickly turns to Professor Hojo, who leaves the meeting and heads downstairs towards the experimental laboratories. We immediately follow him, knowing he'll lead us straight to Aerith. Inside the laboratory, we're introduced to one of Final Fantasy VII's most recognized characters for the very first time, Nanaki, later known by many players as Red 13. Nearby, we also catch the first glimpse of Genova, suspended inside a specimen tank. Although little is explained at this point in the story, it's immediately clear that Genova is central to Shinra's experiments and will play a much larger role as the adventure unfolds. Continuing through the laboratory, we take the elevator up to the holding area where Aerith is being held captive as one of Hojo's experiment subjects. Refusing to leave her behind, Barrett blasts open the containment chamber with his gun arm, while Nanaki turns his attention towards Hojo, forcing the scientist to retreat for now. With no escape left, Hojo unleashes his experimental creation, Sample. Our strategy here is simple and extremely consistent. The fastest way to bring down the boss is by relying almost entirely on grenades. We throw 7 grenades throughout the fight, and while Barrett's limit break provides the remaining damage needed to finish the battle efficiently. By sticking to this strategy, the fight is over quickly, allowing us to rescue Aerith without wasting valuable time. With the boss defeated, we speak with Aerith and reorganize the party for the challenges ahead. Before moving on, we're also rewarded with one of the most powerful materia in the game, the enemy skill materia. Although we won't be using it at all in Midgar, it becomes incredibly important for the speedrun later on, making this one of the most valuable pickups inside the Shinra HQ. On our way down, before leaving the laboratory, we make one final detour to collect the poison materia from a treasure chest in the experiment room. While it isn't immediately required, it's another planned pickup that forms the part of the route. From there, we make our way down the stairs to the 66th floor and head towards the elevator. Just as we're about to continue, we're intercepted by the Turks. Outnumbered and with nowhere to escape, the party is captured and escorted to the very top of Shinra headquarters to meet President Shinra himself. Rather than dealing with the avalanche immediately, the President chooses to imprison the group inside the Shinra holding cells, confident they can no longer interfere with his plans. With nothing else to do, we speak to Aerith through the adjoining cell before settling down for the night. When morning arrives, something is very wrong. Cloud awakens to find Tifa and his cell door open. Stepping into the corridor, we discover the guard laying dead outside the cells. We take the cell key from his body, free the rest of the party, and set out to discover what happened during the night. We explore the building and we're met with an unsettling sight. A trail of blood leads through the corridors of Shinra headquarters, cutting a path of destruction through anyone unfortunate enough to stand in its way. Following the trail all the way to the President's office, we discover the source of the carnage. President Shinra is dead. Impaled through the back is the legendary sword known as the Masamune, unmistakably identifying the killer. Without ever appearing on screen, Sephiroth has already made his presence known. It's one of the most iconic reveals in Final Fantasy VII up until this point. Shinra have been presented as the game's primary antagonist, but in a single scene, the President, the most powerful man in Midgar, is effortlessly murdered, signaling that far greater threat has entered the story. Palmer soon arrives in panic, revealing that the man responsible was none other than Sephiroth. He immediately contacts the Vice President Rufus Shinra, informing him of his father's death and ordering him to the top floor. Moments later, Rufus arrives by helicopter, and with the President dead, officially, he becomes the new head of Shinra Electric Power Company. Knowing there's no time to waste, the party quickly form a plan. Everyone leaves Rufus to Cloud, while the rest of the group begins making their escape through the building. Tifa hesitates, wanting to wait for Cloud downstairs, while Barrett, Aerith, and Nanaki continue towards the ground floor. As they descend, their escape is cut short when the elevator is attacked by the Helly gunner, giving us our first half of the two-stage boss fight. Our strategy is once again built around fast, consistent damage. We open the battle with Nanaki's limit break, before throwing 11 grenades, bringing the first phase to a quick end. The second phase immediately begins. This time, Nanaki and Barrett continue using grenades while Aerith repeatedly casts Bolt to exploit the boss's weakness. A further 6 grenades are enough to finish the fight, allowing the party to continue their escape. The game then switches back to the rooftop where Cloud fights Rufus alone. fight begins with a braver, aimed at Rufus's attack dog. Unfortunately, the attack doesn't score a critical hit, meaning the dog survives and forces us to spend an additional turn, finishing it with a grenade. With Dark Nation defeated, all attention turns to Rufus himself. 4 well-placed grenades are enough to force a newly appointed president to retreat, ending the battle and allowing Cloud to reunite with Tifa. Meanwhile, the rest of the party reaches the building's entrance, only to discover that the Shinra's army has completely surrounded the headquarters. Escape through the front doors is no longer an option. Thinking quickly, Tifa leads everyone back upstairs where they discover a truck full of party and a motorcycle waiting for Cloud. This triggers one of Final Fantasy VII's most iconic minigames. Our objective is to protect the truck carrying the rest of the party while fighting off Shinra's motorcycle soldiers. The safest strategy is surprisingly not to destroy every enemy, instead we're eliminating all of the standard bikes while deliberately leaving 3 red motorcycles alive behind Cloud. The useful tip for this section is to keep swinging Cloud's sword continuously. Doing so prevents motorcycles from overtaking him and dramatically reducing the damage out to the truck, making the escape much more consistent. With the chase complete, one final enemy blocks our path. Motorball is the final boss standing between us and freedom. We open the battle with Barrett's big shot limit break, immediately followed by Cloud's Braver, while Tifa begins throwing grenades. From this point onwards, the strategy is straightforward. Whenever Cloud or Barrett gains the limit break, we use it immediately for maximum damage. If no limit breaks are available, we continue throwing grenades. In this fight, we use a total of 13 throughout the encounter. Keeping an eye on HP is essential, healing with cure whenever necessary. Near the end of the fight, things became a little uncomfortable, forcing us to use an elixir to guarantee the victory. With Motorball defeated, the road out of Midgar is finally open. Our Midgar speedrun is complete. The timer stops at 1 hour 39 minutes and 13 seconds. After nearly 100 minutes of carefully planned routing and counter manipulation, boss strategies, inventory management, and sequence breaks, we've escaped to Midgar as fast as possible on the original PlayStation version of Final Fantasy VII. From here, the world truly opens up. But that's a guide for another day. And that's it, we've officially escaped Midgar. I hope this guide has not only shown you how to complete the Midgar speedrun, but also why each strategy, menu, boss fight, and route optimization is used. If you learned something new, found this guide helpful, or simply enjoyed watching, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like, subscribe for more Final Fantasy VII speedrun guides, and share this video with a friend who's looking to get into speedrunning. If you have any questions about any particular strategy, skip, or boss fight, leave a comment below and I'll do my best to help. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next guide, where we'll continue the journey beyond Midgar. Take care, and happy speedrunning.